This is my chance to finally do some work that actually means something.
It means something to who? You had a career, Dad, before the third comic book movie. Before people started to forget who was inside that bird costume. You were doing a play based on a book that was written 60 years ago for 1,000 rich old white people whose only real concern is going to be where they go to have their cake and coffee when it's over. Nobody gives a shit but you. And let's face it, Dad, you are not doing this for the sake of art. You are doing this because you want to feel relevant again. Well, guess what? There's an entire world out there where people fight to be relevant every single day, and you act like it doesn't exist. Things are happening in a place that you ignore. A place that, by the way, has already forgotten about you. I mean, who the fuck are you? You hate bloggers. You mock Twitter. You don't even have a Facebook page. You're the one who doesn't exist. You're doing this because you're scared to death, like the rest of us, that you don't matter. And you know what? You're right. You don't. It's not important, okay? You're not important. Get used to it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-hosts,
Abraham
and Nick.
How y'all doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm a little tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, I'm doing really good. We've been talking for a while. Kind of feel greased up.
Yeah,
There you go.
Feeling loosey-goosey.
Yes, sir.
We're like, what's his name? That MMA fighter? The Irish
Conor
guy?
McGregor?
Yeah, Conor McGregor, doing that thing.
I was going to say, this is not water.
Yeah. You replace my water with gin. That's what this is.
Yep.
No.
We got to be real, man. We're supposed to be messed up in this episode?
No.
Just like the movie?
Dude, getting
What
drunk.
was your favorite
Yeah, there's
scene?
no way we could ever get through anything like that.
My favorite scene was when...
That would be horrible.
That'd be pretty funny.
My dear.
Michael Keaton, he's my favorite actor.
Bro, you say an actor like that?
That's how it's going to be. Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right. So
So
since we're kind of in a laughy mood, I wanted to tell you guys something on the pod while we're feeling this, and then we'll get into the episode. So earlier this week, Alexa had seen a piece of furniture that she wanted to get for her workroom that she has at the salon, and so she found it on Facebook Marketplace, and we got my dad to go help us pick that piece up and then drop it off somewhere. And so as a thanks, we took my dad to a local Mexican food place down the street from our place. It's called Conchitas, and so we go over there. We're ordering, and if you don't know what we're talking about, the way that this place is, it's a tiny little shop, and there's like 3 or 4 booths, and then like a table and 2 chairs. That's it. It's a tiny place, and then there's like imagine like a counter, like an L-shaped counter, and then the kitchen and like the menu up here. So people that are ordering are going to be in your way if you're sitting in a specific booth. So we walk in, and we're sitting there looking at the menu, and this old woman is sitting there, and she's kind of like overweight a little bit, heavier set, and she has no teeth. Like no teeth at all. And so we walk in, and immediately she's all like,
Oh, no.
like doing all that stuff with her mouth.
She's trying to eat?
No. She's just sitting there. It's all she has is a Coke. Like she's just sitting there.
She's trying to get all
drink.
the flavors out, bro. Just
And when she was taking drinks, she was like,
No.
like taking drinks and like that and stuff. And so I was sitting there looking at her, and I was like, what the hell is this lady doing? You know?
Oh, no.
And she immediately just, we stand in front of her to order, and she's all, stand in front of me.
She said that?
No.
Yeah, and I kind of looked back, and I was all, what am I supposed to do?
She just
so
ignored it.
I just ignored it, and she just, the whole time we were in there, she kept going,
My kind of villager over there, dude.
Yeah, she kept doing it.
Oh.
And they got to the point where like we order, so we go and sit down, and we sit down at the end, and there's blinds, and so it got kind of hot in there, so my dad starts putting the shades down. The lady yelled at my dad.
No.
She was all, leave it up. And then he kind of looked at her, and he's all, She was yelling at me, I guess. I said that out loud and kept putting it down. And she immediately kept going,
You riled her up.
dude. We were like, what's this lady doing, bro? She kept doing it. And we were like, all right, we're just going to not try to not address it.
Yeah.
Like, just keep doing our thing.
Eat your food and
eat our
leave.
food and hang out with one another and just get out.
I'll never forget the moment eating in Conchitas. It was me and my brother Sal, and we both wanted Manula one day. And there's this guy who was eating tacos, and I want to say he was like 50. Comes in, and he's mad. There was I think he wanted like a beef stew or something. Caldo de res in Spanish.
Yeah.
And he got so mad that he shoulder checked one of the customers in the booth. And they called the cops, and I will never forget eating in Conchitas that. And, bro, I see that guy around, and I'm like, dude, I know you shoulder checked, dude. Like, you may have not noticed what I saw. Like, he straight up, the guy was sitting in the booth, and then he sat in the booth and shoulder checked him.
What? Man.
Yeah.
All because of no food, huh?
Because he wanted beef stew, or because he wanted that food.
I'll give him some beef stew right here. All right, well, let's get
Man,
talking about this movie.
Conchitas
man.
is just a wild place, man.
Yeah. So the movie that we had, or that Nick had decided to pick, that
Yeah.
we revealed at the end of the episode was,
Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
yes, that
So-
movie came out in 2014, correct?
Yes, 2014. Before we even get started with anything, I went into this completely wrong. I didn't really know what to expect, other than I kind of thought it was going to be Michael Keaton's character like getting casted over and over and over and over again as the same person and getting tired of it, like being almost typecasted as a superhero and trying to break out of that role. Whereas it's not really like that. It's about a man who is just really insecure, pretty much.
Yeah, and he's known as Birdman,
Yeah.
as this superhero character, and can't break out of that mold.
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot different than I imagined.
Yeah.
So
I think like in a like a shortened version, I think the easiest way to describe this movie would be like a man trying to become famous, but everything he does makes him infamous.
in the worst possible way too.
Yeah.
And it somehow ends up working at the end.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly wild. But
Yeah.
What is your history with this? I know you've seen it once before.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it last episode, but I had watched this movie I think around 2014 or 2015 when the Oscars had taken place, and that was when I really started to get into film at the time. So I watched this in the Merced College Library on my laptop, and I remember I had watched Whiplash, I'd watched the Grand Budapest Hotel, and I immediately was like, okay, I got to check out Birdman. It won Best Picture, so checking it out, and I remember really enjoying it the first time, and I remember sitting there for 2 hours just being like, this is sick, this is crazy, like this is wild, this is like nothing I've ever seen before, so it was really a good time whenever I had watched it back then. So I haven't watched it any time since then, so this is like my second rewatch, and It's been
a long time,
like close to 7 or 8 years. Like it's kind of wild.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with y'all. I mean, this is your first time seeing it, the both of you guys, right?
Yeah, it was my first time, and I don't know. It's just I didn't text you guys anything about it.
Nope.
I was just I kind of let it.
You're being very secretive.
Yeah, he's being cagey.
Yes,
Is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, cause like the only thing I said today about you guys this movie was, Isaiah, you texted earlier saying, "How do you feel about this movie?" And I just sent 4 dots.
Yeah. I was
And I was just like,
what does that mean?
and I just didn't like it.
All right.
All
right.
right.
Well, we'll unpack that. We'll unpack that a little bit.
We
though,
will.
Yeah, exactly.
into your reasoning why.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this movie is streaming on Tubi. Correct.
Yeah, I think that's what I
Yeah.
said last week.
It's streaming. Yeah, it's streaming free on Tubi. I had the luxury of being able to go to Fresno this
And-
past weekend, so I went and looked at Rasputin's and Mad Monk and found a copy.
For what, like $4?
I found it for
$8.
Yeah, and it's a sick cover too. Like it's got this like gatefold, and then the stereotypical Blu-ray cover is all red and all this stuff. It's pretty cool looking. But yeah, I got it for like $8.
That's what I'm talking
And so
about.
I was like, for that, dude, like I'll buy it.
Don't want to have to
It's-
download Tubi. What the heck?
Yeah.
I
so-
rented it.
You know.
Yeah, it's rented on Voodoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So
But-
you want to jump into it? Let's get into it. You ready to talk?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we kind of broke it down. Essentially, it's a washed up actor trying to have a sort of like a career resurgence.
Yeah.
Streaming on Tubi, directed by what was his name? again?
Alejandro Iñárritu.
Okay.
I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly,
Mm.
as well as some of the writers. It's Alejandro Iñárritu wrote it, along with Alexander Dinelaris Jr., Armando Bo, and Nicolás Giacobone.
Yeah, I think that sounds correct to me.
I think so. So
At
those are
least
the
it
people
looks
who,
that way phonetically.
phonetically. That's
So-
the only way I could do this.
Yeah.
So it was directed by all of them. First movie I've seen from Alejandro. Well,
Yeah.
actually,
He would later go on to do The Revenant.
I have seen The Revenant.
Yeah.
So this would be my second. But
Yeah.
it was very unique. Again, it was that long take,
Yeah.
long form take where it was filmed to be one
Yes.
take basically. And I think it kind of works for me in this movie. I have only ever experienced it through 1917,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked it here. I thought it was placed well, but I think that this, I don't know if it's my favorite kind of filmmaking.
One take.
Yeah, one take.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive.
It is really impressive.
But I don't know, it kind of just it doesn't like wow me as much anymore. After I've
Mhm.
seen it done really well, every time I see it again, I'm like, oh yeah, they did that again.
Yeah.
I think this is the first movie I've seen in that sort of style.
Okay.
'Cause I don't think I've seen 1917.
Yeah,
That's
this
a
was
great one.
this was my first one in that sort of style, and then when I went and saw 1917 in theaters,
I wonder. What
I remember being blown away because like just having that experience in theaters is
Mhm.
so much better in my opinion.
Agree.
But yeah,
Okay.
well, let's talk about this thing, man.
Yeah. So a brief synopsis first is it's a man pretty much falling into obscurity. It's Michael Keaton. He plays a man called Riggin. I don't know his last name.
Thompson.
Riggin Thompson. He is a old comic book actor. Basically, he plays Birdman,
Mhm.
and he's done 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he's
Three.
done 3 roles, and he has kind of been breaking out of that. He's wanting to get back. He wanted to be relevant again,
Mhm.
so he decides to take on the task of directing the play, writing the play, and also acting in the play
Mm.
that he's doing. And it's called If We
It's
Talk
called-
About Love or
Yeah,
something like that.
What to talk about when we talk about love? Or
Yes.
something.
Wasn't
It-
familiar with it, but
It's adapted from an actual short story, I believe.
oh, okay. So yeah, he decides to do a play, and everything he tries to do kind of just slowly unravels and
Yeah.
doesn't work. And we get to see, not only is he struggling with his self-image, but also his relationships are struggling. His financial issues are coming back up, and everything is just at odds with each other throughout the play. And we get to kind of see him do the pre-shows of the play, and then to where it's the first showing of the play,
Mhm.
and kind of where it goes and how the critics take it, and
Yeah.
where his mental state leads him to the end.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, most definitely. So go check this out if you guys haven't seen it. Again, streaming free on Tubi, or you can rent it or pick up a copy if you feel so inclined. Again, this is going to be a spoiler episode. Well, most of our episodes always are. So if you haven't checked it out, or if you don't care about spoilers, continue listening. If you haven't, you do care about spoilers, pause it, come back, go check
Mhm.
out the movie, and then hear what we have to say about that. So you want to go ahead and start us with your first favorite scene?
I will, yes. I wanted to start off just with the introduction, only because I was very intrigued by him literally sitting in his living room floating.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain to you at all what's going on.
Nope.
Literally nothing at all. You get introduced to this guy, he's in his underwear,
Yeah.
just floating in the middle.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then someone comes in and he starts to get dressed. And where it really turns into my favorite scene is when because we don't know that he's doing a play. We don't
No.
know anything about this man's life.
Mm-mm.
And we see these people, like we see this fake set. These people are, doing their routine, talking about love and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he walks in and he's like, oh, you don't know what love is. And, he starts to do his role, and we get to kind of see like, oh, he's part of this. Like he's an actor here. And I liked it too because we get to see everyone kind of working off each other. And then that one guy, he does his take and he goes, no, give it to me with a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the guy goes in.
Yeah.
And he does like all that he
He's like,
can.
it was too much.
He's
Was it
like,
too
"Oh,
much?
Too much.
I can tell it's too much by
I
your
can see it
face.
on your face.
Yeah.
And then isn't that's the scene where
Dude, that's my
Yeah.
favorite. That's one of
He
my
freaking
first favorite scenes.
Makes a light fall on his head.
Yeah. Well, he makes it happen.
It's what it seems
That's
like.
what it seems like,
It
'cause-
seems well. What we have to say, I think we should preface with
We
this
should,
movie,
yeah.
like, is this movie like toys with the idea of like. I've heard the term subjective reality, in the sense that like the viewer sees like certain things from the aspect of Regan Thompson and him truly having superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has superpowers to like make things like telekinesis and to fly and like all this stuff and everything. So like when you know that ahead of time, you sort of think that like he makes this light fall from the scaffolding and it cracks this guy's head open.
It does.
But then there's other things in the movie that like sort of disprove that he doesn't have these powers.
Yeah.
But then there's this ambiguous ending that I hear divides a lot of people, and I heard it almost compared to like the ending of Inception, with like people being like, is he in a dream or not? Is he really back there? Like all
yeah.
that stuff. Like it's never really truly said. So
Yeah, I initially had thought that it was just his like he's mentally
his fantasy.
Yeah, his fantasy of what he used to be and like kind of when he was truly thriving in his life. That's what I kind of thought of it as.
Mhm.
So every time I saw a power, I was like, oh, this is like him trying to manifest his feelings out. Like,
Yeah.
because the whole time too, we get his
This
alter ego,
this
of,
inner monologue.
yeah, of
Yeah.
Birdman,
Mhm.
of him younger as Birdman, and
I don't like him.
you don't like him?
No.
He's like that little devil on
He
your
is.
shoulder
Yeah.
that is like, come on, you're better than this. Blah blah. Blah. You can't do crap. Blah,
Yeah, he both like riles him up to do good, and then he's like, "Oh, you're just scared that you're falling into the inevitable nothingness," and
yeah.
he's like, it's a weird kind of dichotomy
Yeah.
between the two.
I have to say I like the inner monologue.
I do too.
I really enjoyed like this inner toiling with this thing that is eating him up inside that
Yeah.
he once was so great for,
Mm-hmm.
that now he's like struggling to even break out of that mold.
Mm-hmm.
I found it almost annoying. I just wanted him to. I was just like, dude, like, I just wanted. I was telling myself, like, dude, just shut up.
I liked it though. It was an interesting way to show his emotion.
I guess,
Yeah.
I guess I see where you're coming from, but I just don't think it was it.
Mm.
How do you think that they could have done it better?
I just think if he.
He stands up there and he's like, "I am sad that I'm not relevant anymore."
He just
I think he
super self-aware.
Yeah, like right on.
He's all the reason I'm doing all this is because I'm not relevant anymore, and that really hurts me.
Yeah.
And like,
I don't know. That's hard, because this movie is.
We'll get into it with what didn't work,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. But
Yeah.
the introduction, I think, is really cool because it shows almost the frenetic pacing, too,
Yeah.
where, with one take, you kind of have to, everything's moving. There's
Yeah.
literally, like, no still images, basically.
mm-hmm.
Everyone's moving in and out of frame. The camera is singularly going.
Yeah, it's in a constant state of motion.
Yeah, and everyone's just dodging in and out when it's their turns.
Yeah.
And
Like even when characters are standing still, the camera is like panning and like going in and out and all this stuff. Like it's pretty, I would almost say like characteristic of the director's films, like because I think they do that in The Revenant too.
Yeah,
do.
I was
Like, they-
looking up movies.
Like
that
they
are,
get
one
these
take.
like real close shots of Leonardo DiCaprio. I know that they like memed on where he's all like like
I think
he
the
got
one
like, mauled by the
specifically.
bear.
Yeah.
No, I specifically remember the bear mauling scene and that how visceral that is because
Yeah,
the
because
camera's
of the
continually moving. Yeah, it is one like a one take type deal.
Yeah.
And I think the introduction does a good job at kind of showing that to us right
setting
off the bat.
like the whole precedent for how this movie is going to go the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
My next favorite scene is when Mike Shiner gets introduced.
yes, I love
And
this.
so, this character gets introduced who is Edward Norton, played by Edward Norton. And he is a sort of replacement for the guy that got bonked on the head by that
Yeah.
light. And originally, what would you say, Zach Galifianakis?
he's like his like
assistant,
manager.
a manager.
Yeah.
He says,
Okay.
"You're my assistant. You're my lawyer. You're my best friend.
He's basically his right hand
His
man.
right hand
Okay.
man.
The guy
yeah.
who can do everything, his best friend.
Okay. So he suggests like we need to like hire the understudy. We hired him, like just have the understudy go in, and he's like, no, that's not gonna happen. And we need someone big. We need someone like Woody Harrelson or something.
I love this, dude. I love this.
And he's all, Woody Harrelson is doing the next Hunger Games or something like that. He's not gonna do this. And
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, he's all, we need Jeremy Renner
from the Hurt Locker.
He's all, he's in the Avengers.
He's an Avenger.
He's all, oh, they put a cape on him too. Man. Like, so he's running through all these things, and then eventually the name Mike Shiner gets brought up,
And everyone's like,
yeah, and everyone's like, what? No way, no. And eventually, he gets introduced, and it looks sick. Like, they have him on this like dimly lit stage, and there's just like this soul light, and he's standing there with like this like bowler cap on, and he eventually goes up there and he's like, hey, like, I would love to hire you if we could afford you and all this stuff. And they essentially is like, have you even had a chance to look at the script? And
I love this.
And
scene
Mike Shiner's
too.
like, I don't even need to look at the script.
He's like,
and all this
just
stuff.
feed me a line.
Yeah, he's like, just feed me a line. I know it all, blah, blah, blah.
And the fact that he sits there and he's like, and he says it perfectly right afterwards.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, how'd you do that?
Yeah, and I love this immediate interaction that they have where it feels like they're like, oh man, these guys are going to be great together. This is what's going to make the play like truly great. This is chemistry with one another.
Yeah.
And I love how immediately, like, after they finish up, Edward Norton is like his character, I should say, is giving like critique and criticism on the screenplay or the script, and he's like, well, do you really need to say all this? I mean, you've said it 4 times already, say it once and mean it, and all this stuff, and take all this, extra stuff out and all this stuff. And they're like, okay, well, let's try it. And then they do it, and, it ends up being even more, even better than what the script was originally written for. And it's funny that gets put in there because I've heard that that's something that Edward Norton does. So he's like almost playing a version of himself in this movie, which like adds on to like, we'll get into like the sort of meta parts of where this film gets, but like that's one layer immediately, is like there are some characters that play actual versions of themselves in real life, but they're a character in this movie. Like that being one of them, another one being Michael Keaton playing a washed up superhero, or a superhero that he's mainly known for, and in real life he played Batman.
But now it's Birdman.
In this timeline, he played Birdman.
Also in 1992, right?
Yeah, he stopped playing Batman in 92.
Yeah,
as well as Birdman in 92. So
it's really on the nose there.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things in this movie that are sort of like, picking at the audience and being like, hey, like, we can sort of like see these problems, and we know what's going on, and we're self-aware in that aspect. So that, like, I don't know, it lends itself to sort of like the film being intelligent in a way, I think. Like I immediately think of that whole like action sequence where he's like people don't want to hear your artistry drab, all this
all
stuff.
they want is entertainment.
They want entertainment. They want to forget about their crappy lives. He's like, they want to see explosions, blood, action.
They want to see a Michael Bay film.
Yeah, and he's like people want to hear all that crap you're saying and all this stuff. And I think that's true in most aspects. I mean, when people go to movies, they go to movies to be entertained and stuff like that.
I mean, what sells, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fast and the Furious movies,
exactly,
stuff like that. Transformers,
all the MCU films, like all that stuff.
Works.
Yeah. So it's I think it's like it's a commentary on like Hollywood, I think, and like modern, the entertainment industry as it is.
Well,
today,
they even say in this movie, it says this is not Hollywood, it's Broadway.
Yeah.
So then, like they're saying, it's like peeking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this scene a lot too because, we had heard the script read before, and it, for me, I was like, okay, yeah, I'd be interested in watching this. But, when Edward Norton gets on the screen and he's like, no, give me some gusto, and he's able to draw out some true raw emotion from Michael Keaton in that moment, where they just start screaming at each other. He's like, and they're going into this, like, you could see that it transitions not only from them talking, but to them being in the script and just railing into each other. And I was like, this is way more compelling.
Yeah.
I liked seeing the editing process, and it's kind of like, not only a talent to act, but it's a talent to understand a character, and and to translate that onto, like, from paper into real life.
Yeah, exactly.
I think was really compelling to see that.
Yeah, most definitely.
My next favorite scene, I want to say it's probably like 20 or 30 minutes in. So we get introduced to a character named Sam, who is his daughter, Mike's daughter, Birdman's daughter.
Yeah.
And Birdman is coming. Or Reagan is his name. Excuse me. He's coming home from the bar, with Mike, after the first.
Okay. Yeah, he's like, yeah, this place sells coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They go in there. It's just a bar.
Yeah,
It's just a bar.
Just a bar.
So he's coming home from that, and then he's saying I think he finally comes to the conclusion that like he wasn't the best dad for Sam, and like so he goes up to Sam in her room or office, whatever it is, to apologize. And basically, this is a part in the movie that I was like wide open. I was like, "What is happening?"
Mm-hmm.
So from what we know, she is she used to be a drug abuser and went to rehab, and she is, how would you say?
Like she's coming back. I guess everyone thought that she was on the right track, but
she's following. She's
relapsing.
She's relapsing. That's the word I was looking
okay.
for. But he is like, what's that smell?
Smoking the devil's lettuce.
Yeah.
And the devil laughs.
Smoking the ganj, and he's like, what is this? What is this? And then she just lays it on him.
Mm-hmm.
Like pinpoints his insecurity, man.
Every single thing that he is insecure about, she's laying it on the table.
Yeah.
For open air.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Too.
And Emma Stone,
She kills it.
phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
She's
in
in
this. And she's like, the only reason you're doing any of this stupid play is because you want to feel relevant again.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're not. And like starts ripping into him.
Mm-hmm.
And like he has no words the whole time. He is just tight-lipped.
Because it's all true.
Yeah.
It's all
So
true.
true.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's like, you don't even have a Facebook page. You don't even have a Twitter.
Like-
you don't do any of this stuff. You do no work to stay relevant at all. And now all of a sudden you think that you're owed this stuff because you had a career once and now you want it back and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really powerful scene.
And I feel like this is also a scene that is like a turning point for him.
Mm.
But I also just liked it because she said some stuff that is like true about today's world. Like some people just don't have a Facebook, and they're like, oh, I'm not even important, and like this and that. I don't know.
But they don't make any effort to change with the world.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
She's talking about boomers.
Yeah. Okay,
Being
boomer.
like back in my day, you used to be able to buy a stick of gum for a penny. It's all right, bro.
The future is now, old man, or however they say it.
This is the
Okay,
SpongeBob doing
boomer.
the future.
But yeah, I just really like that scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that scene as well. My next one, though, is actually a little bit before that, and it's when we see the first preview of the play.
I love this as well.
Bro, I love this scene because it's a bro moment immediately, but Michael Keaton's acting
It's good.
is fire.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, he's killing it in this. Like he's really bringing it to the table with this play, and you can really see it shine through and how much he wants this to work and all this stuff, and the context behind the scene. The play is going on currently, and I love the way that they show the passing of time. Like it feels so seamless.
It is, yeah. And I was really confused by it at first because I think it's his like girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
And she's going upstage and she's like,
And it's like all these blue lights, and it's all
tomorrow.
the reindeer passes.
Yeah,
blah,
and
like
they'll be
all
like,
this stuff.
the play will be on tomorrow. And then we go in and it's
there's the play.
It
Like
is going.
it's immediately going. Right
yeah,
then
like
and there.
we just skip time basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved the way that they decided to show the passage of time
Yeah.
with no cuts, and it was really cool the way that they did it. But the context behind the scene, there's these three people out on stage, they're having an argument about what love is and all this stuff, and Edward Norton's character, Mike, why am I forgetting his last name?
Shiner.
Mike Shiner, he is on stage and he's drinking
Mm-hmm.
real gin. Like his character is supposed to be acting drunk, but he brought real gin on stage and is getting drunk while the play is going on. And
All for the sake of authenticity.
yeah,
too.
he's method actor.
Yeah.
in that sense. But it's it's funny in later. As the movie gets on, it's funny looking back at it because this guy is like, everything needs to be authentic and all this stuff. But when it comes to him being a real person, he's the fakest as they come.
Yeah.
Fakest as of all.
So yeah, so it's pretty ironic and funny to look at that and in that light, and a little later into the film. But he's getting drunk on stage, he's doing his lines and stuff, and Michael Keaton's character comes out with like another bottle which is full of water instead, and he acts like he's filling up another bottle of gin and all this stuff and everything, and he switches the water for the gin and all this stuff, and goes back, he starts doing his lines and stuff and everything, and that's when he starts really killing it. And goes up to the front of the stage and starts having this big old monologue, and then all of a sudden Mike Shiner's character stands up and it's just like, did you replace my gin with water? No. And it totally derails the play and smashes his glass and all this stuff. And here, let me I had some of the dialogue written down, but he's essentially saying Michael Keaton's character is trying to calm him down and saying, you're drunk. And just
I hate it too, because he's standing up there stop it.
He's like, stop.
And
he's trying so hard to salvage.
Exactly. And he immediately is like, I'm drunk? No, I'm supposed to be drunk. Essentially, my character is supposed to be drunk. We're doing Raymond Carver and all this stuff and everything. Everything here is fake. There's no chicken. There's no, all this stuff. All this stuff is fake.
The only thing real in here is this chicken. And then the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, and he's just essentially making an entire mockery of the... He's making a whole mockery of the set and of the play, and just destroying everything as soon as he gets here.
Yeah, it's horrible.
The guy that we thought we saw at the beginning when he gets introduced, who we thought was going to be this great actor who's going to save this play, is destroying it now. And it's pretty funny in that aspect, but it's also a huge bro moment, because immediately I'm like, this guy's a jerk, And then he eventually, starts going out into the crowd and starts mocking the crowd, and he's like, oh, you guys wouldn't know authenticity if it hit you in the face and all this stuff. And he's like, you guys are just watching this from behind your phone screen, and you're not actually here in the moment and all this crap.
It's just ridiculous.
He's just spewing all this bull crap that he doesn't even believe himself.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make these people feel bad. But, it's an insanely good scene.
I think that it's all kind of on purpose, though. Because we get the scene, your favorite scene, where they're walking to the bar, and he's kind of telling him, dude, what did I do anything to offend you? What's going on here? What's going on? And that's where he kind of describes it, saying I know better. It was just a pre-screening. You don't need to have it perfect. It almost felt like
he did it
on purpose, to get buzz.
Yeah, because
to get the ball rolling.
Because he says, I think in that scene that you're talking about, he was like, nobody cares about the preview until the actual showing, because this is just a piece of the showing that they're going to see. They don't know the whole show. So yeah, maybe he did do it on purpose.
It seemed to me like he did, because he didn't seem drunk in that moment when they're walking afterwards. No. And even whenever he went to they're sitting at the bar and talking, that's when they see the critic over there in the corner, and this lady. And
it looks like she licked a homeless guy's butt.
he approaches her, and we kind of see that they have a
real tight relationship.
Yeah, a relationship. She's like, oh, what's the quote? She goes, you think I'm ever going to give you a bad review? And he goes, if I ever give you a bad performance.
Yeah.
And they walk out. And it kind of introduces her into because she becomes a bigger part in this. And it kind of just seemed like it was on purpose, everything that he did in that moment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, most definitely. What's your next favorite scene?
My next favorite scene is, you guys probably have something before it, but what is he doing? I'm trying to think. It's when he reads that paper.
Yes. So this is my favorite scene as well.
Okay.
It's the fight scene.
It's the fight scene.
So in that bar, the scene prior we were talking about, he tells him his inspiration for becoming an actor, or writing the play or whatever.
Yeah.
And Mike goes on to do an interview, stealing that exact same reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Almost like he's trying to be the star of the play, overtaking Reagan and all that. And Reagan gets pissed.
He gets.
And he goes.
So mad.
He approaches him in the tanning bed.
He starts hitting him with the newspaper.
With the paper. Dude, just imagine. Do you think that actually hurts?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's a thick paper.
He's just going at it too.
Paper. I'm just, because he's saying it's burning.
Oh, maybe he was a little sensitive afterwards.
Paper hurts.
No, well, okay. Why do you like this scene so much? Because I have one specific reason why I really like it.
I think you finally get to see Riggin and who he truly is when he's hitting him, because you see the acting that he is about. He says this traumatic story,
I love
dude.
this is my favorite part.
He says this traumatic story. He goes,
dude, and he
my
plays
dad.
he goes, my dad.
No, and then
Make me get on our knees and
Take the belt off.
Yeah,
and that's
ridiculous.
when I was like, dude, this is a good scene.
he's all, oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
And
I
he's
didn't
like,
know.
He goes, I gotcha.
And he's all, you didn't think I can act? Like,
Yeah, and that's why I liked it, because I was like, you see, finally, he's actually a good actor. Birdman should not be the only thing that's labeling him.
Yeah.
He should have more notches on your belt, so to say.
Mm.
And this shows it because I was like, I believed him for a second.
Yeah, he killed it.
Yeah.
He was like, and my sister.
Dude, the way he was like, he had to like stop because had to breathe in like.
Yeah.
It seemed so realistic, man.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed with his like acting within acting in that
Yeah.
moment. And then and that's when they actually start boxing, right?
Yeah, he was like,
Or they start. They're like,
He's like, come on, let's
Yeah,
go
he
blow
straight
for
up
blow
said,
right
yeah.
now.
boom.
Yeah.
yeah. It was one of my favorite scenes.
Pops him in the face. Yeah. My next one is when Riggin gets his robe caught in the door in the second preview. And so, they're doing another scene where, Riggin, his character has to, go for a costume change and all this stuff. And it's a brum moment because at this time we start to see that Mike Shiner and Riggin's daughter Sam start to sort of have a little thing with one another. They start to have sort of a relationship, and we see that out of the corner of Riggin's eye. So he sees that, and while he's getting dressed, it messes with him. So he's like, go up to this guy, let me get a smoke, and I'm gonna stand outside and just try to forget about things for a little bit and just have a smoke break. And he's standing out there in this robe in his chonies, and it takes his wig off, and he's just standing out there smoking. And then the door eventually shuts, and it's one of those doors that does not have knobs to get back in. It has to be open from the inside. You can't come from the outside. And we immediately see that his robe is caught in the door, and he's like, oh crap! Like, so he's trying to pull it, and it is not budging. So he eventually has to get undressed and walk out into New York City in his underwear while it's raining, I think. And he's just walking and all this stuff. And
everyone's like, dude, literally everybody that sees it was like, that's Birdman!
You're Riggin Thompson, you're Birdman. Hey, let me get a picture, bro. And they're like, he just gets this whole crowd just following him. And they're like, hey, it's Birdman.
And there's that one guy that goes, you suck.
Yeah. Everyone is just like filming him, trying to take pictures of him.
But then
and all this
that
stuff.
scene also shows that he's still relevant.
Yeah, but for the wrong reasons right now.
Well,
like
he doesn't want to be relevant for that reason, but he's still relevant.
Exactly.
But he should see that.
Yeah, well, and that's the hard part, right? Is he's wanting to be. I mean, imagine everything that you do in life you're trying to get right, and it just keeps tumbling the other way.
Man, everybody only knows me as the insulin boy.
So like, yeah, imagine like, oh man, hey, I just got my car fixed. Oh man, but now my house got broken into.
Yeah,
like it's like I can't win.
You can never catch a break.
I just want to catch a break. Exactly. And like this guy's not being able to catch a break at all. And it's not only a funny scene, but it's also really interesting how he like goes back into the crowd.
I love it.
And starts to.
He walks up like this.
Yeah, and he's all like acting like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the way that they decide to like just try to get right back into the play, and like it almost feels like the crowd is kind of like, is this part of it? Like I'm not exactly sure.
Because you hear
like,
people, you hear some people chuckle. You hear people actually just like watching it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I love the way that like he's doing it, and then they eventually hand him the prop gun, and he's looking at them and all this stuff, and then they eventually finish the scene, and I don't know, I really love that whole sequence of him like him trying to do good and life smacking him around, and then him trying to immediately get back into the play and be like, I'm not gonna let that stop me. I'm gonna finish this thing, and the audience won't even know a difference. It's just my adaptation if they see anything different. But yeah, I really liked that scene as well.
And it was at that moment too where the daughter kind of, because she kind of has her own little personal arc as well. You know, she's had a really hard time with her dad not being around and him trying to make up for it in all the ways that didn't work for her, right? And she kind of has some pretty big issues with that. But it's at this moment where she sees that part of it and she goes, you know, that was really weird, but I think I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when she shows him, like, oh, look, you're trending. You've got, like, 80,000 views in 1 hour or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Because of him walking through New York in his chonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was it was really compelling to see him dive back in like that. My next favorite scene, though, is when he goes off on the critic.
Oh, yeah, that's mine, too.
This scene, man,
Dude.
I think it's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, it's my favorite for sure.
Yeah.
I remember at the end of it being like, yes, dude.
It's because I freaking hate the critic, dude. Is she meant to be?
She's
I
meant
feel
to
like
be,
she's meant to be like that.
She's meant to be like a Simon Cowell type figure. Like,
Dude, she's trash. She straight
Hateful.
up says, I'm going to destroy your play. And he goes, you've never even seen it. And she goes, I don't even need to see
Dude,
it.
and she even says, he goes, are you upset with me? She goes like, yeah, because I could have used this theater for a better play.
Else. Yeah.
And I was just like,
she's essentially like high-nosing him and being like, you're just this, she says this thing where she's like, you're not an actor, you're a celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, and like trying to demean him and like his love for the art of acting and for theater, by just minimizing him to just a celebrity, you know? It's very hurtful.
Yeah, I hated her because of this, because she was going to destroy his play when she'd never even seen it, which, how can you be credible if you're reviewing something and you've never even spent a second with it?
Exactly. Or if you're not going to go into it objectively.
Yeah, it's completely wrong and a really bad critic, I would think.
Yeah.
Like, she does not belong in the business or to be as popular or have as much power as she does. And, you know, she says all this stuff, like, she ends her little dumb tirade, and he goes, dude, he rips into her. He goes, you know, he explains to her, like, I'm risking everything to be up there. And what are you doing? What are you risking? You're just sitting here labeling things. Like, that's all you do. You don't even talk about the structure of the play or the thematic element. You don't do any of that. You just talk about these labels, and it means nothing. And he's like, he grabs her little notebook, and he's like, oh, all this sucks. Like, you suck.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was very cathartic to see him put her in her place, pretty much.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I
deserved
wish I
it.
had the
She
exact.
deserved it.
She did.
I have like a big chunk of the dialogue.
Do you?
Do it.
But it's fire. So I'll start about, you know, right whenever she starts to say like, I'm gonna tank everything that you're doing right now. He essentially says, wow, you know, what has to happen in a person's life to become a critic anyway? What are you writing? Another review? Huh? Is that any good? Is it bad? Did you even see this? Let me read it. And she takes it.
Yeah.
She says, I'll call the police. He says, no, you won't call the police. Let's read your freaking review. Callow. Callow is a label. It's just lackluster. That's just labels. Marginality. Are you kidding me? It sounds like you need penicillin to clear that up. That's a label too. These are all just labels. You're just labeling everything. That's so freaking lazy. You're a lazy piece of trash. You're lazy, you know? What is this? You even know what this is? You don't. You know why? Because you can't see this thing if you don't have to label it. You mistake all these little noises.
Oh, he's talking about the flower.
Yeah. Yeah, he's bringing up the flower, and he's like, you don't even know what this is. All you could do is label it.
Mm-hmm.
It says you mistake all these little noises in your head for true knowledge. And then she says, are you finished? And he says, no, I'm not finished. There's nothing here about technique. There's nothing in here about structure. There's nothing in here about intentions. It's just a bunch of crappy opinions backed up with even crappier comparisons.
God.
You write a couple of paragraphs, and you know what? None of this costs you anything.
Like,
you risk nothing at all. I'm an actor. And then, takes a deep breath and says, this play cost me everything. So I tell you what I'll tell you what, you take this malicious, cowardly, crappily written review and shove it right the heck up your wrinkly, tight butt.
And at that moment, I was like, dude, yes, get it.
Yeah.
Yes. He straight up put her in her place, man.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good scene to see.
Yeah. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was well deserved.
Yeah, most definitely. What's your next favorite scene?
Those are the only 3 scenes that I liked.
Okay. Well, my last one is I guess the actual opening night of the play. It's when we see that last scene, with Reagan in it.
Okay.
That's
You
a
got one
big
before
bro
that?
moment.
I wanted to bring up so he goes after that whole rant tirade he goes on. He goes and buys a bottle and he drinks and he walks past that guy.
Yeah.
And the guy is like,
he's doing Macbeth.
Yeah, he's doing Macbeth, but he says some of the same lines
Same
that
as the guy that
as
gets
the
hit
guy
with the
who
light,
get-
right?
yeah.
He was like, was that too much?
I could tell it was too
I
much.
could tell. Yeah, I was confused about that too.
I was too. It's kind of like his life is kind of coming out in these weird ways.
Yeah.
And he ends up going to sleep, getting knocked out. He wakes up with a hangover, and Birdman is right over his shoulders talking.
Yep.
And he convinces him to do a number 4 for Birdman or
Yeah.
something, right?
He's
I
like
hate this
we could
scene.
we could do number 4 easily. You could fit in that suit. Get some surgery. 60s is the new 30.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
And then Reagan starts flying.
I
Yeah.
hate this
He
scene.
starts flying around, and I wasn't sure. This is all fake, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it's all fantasy in that
Okay.
point. In that point, and we get something to disprove that it actually is happening whenever he lands at the theater, and then we see him walk in. But then we see this taxi driver being like, "Hey, you didn't pay me. You didn't pay me for your
Exactly,
ride."
yeah.
Like, so immediately you're like, oh, "Okay, like he was just imagining all that
Yeah.
stuff."
It's all in his imagination.
Yeah,
It was weird too because it kind of seemed like he was at his wit's end.
yeah,
And when he was on top of that building
yeah.
and he was about to jump
About to
off,
kill himself.
I was like, "Oh shoot, is this how they're gonna end it?"
Yeah,
Or maybe he actually did land and this is just his dream
yeah,
or his ideal version of the ending of what's going on here. But
yeah. Which is interesting too because I don't know. I almost feel like there's like
I
maybe
almost-
some sort of bigger purpose for Reagan's character because we find out that he has attempted suicide 3 times. He did that up top where he was standing out there about to jump. That guy talked him down. We get revealed at the end whenever he got caught cheating on his wife that he tried to drown himself. And then in my favorite scene, whenever he shoots himself with a real gun with live ammo,
That was one of the biggest moments in my opinion.
and it doesn't work. Like, so it's almost like he is destined for something else, and his either something doesn't allow him to do so, or what if it really is there's something magical about it? Who knows?
I don't know, man.
And the thing that's frustrating too is that the director will not say anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm totally blanking on his name again. Alejandro
Iñárritu.
Iñárritu. Iñárritu.
Yeah.
There we go. He he refuses to say what he thinks about it and just says, let the audience do what they will. Like, let them take what they want from it.
Yeah. I guess we can talk a little bit about that ending too.
Okay. So I it's such a wild scene whenever we get this really heartfelt scene where it feels like he's gonna commit, like he's going to try to kill himself again. And we understand that because he is, with his ex at the time and is just like,
She's like,
you know,
you're
I made-
strangely calm right now.
yeah, and he's like, I made so many mistakes. I love you. I went, and he explains when he went to that beach and he got stung by those jellyfish and
Yeah.
stuff. And he's just like, I haven't really done much right in life, but, being with you and having Sam and all that stuff, those were one things that I did get right. And, I just want to make things right. I want to be there for you. And I know that you truly love me. And I just want you to know that I truly love you and all this stuff. And it feels like he's like almost saying his goodbyes.
Does.
And, when she leaves, she's like, okay, well, go out there, break a leg and all this stuff. He's like, okay. So he starts to get dressed again. And that's when we see him pull out a live gun with live ammo. And he's like, the whole time he's all like, just like,
strangely calm.
yeah, just like strangely calm about it, cocks it and everything. And I love whenever he's walking down, like this chaotic jazz music is
Yeah.
happening. And like the lines between reality start to blur when like this guy is like in the kitchen and he's playing drums and, it's going along with what the score is doing. And we get these like 6 shots of Michael just walk in and stuff. And then, the lady is like, oh, I need to put on your blood rig. And
He's like,
just
no, I'm not
He
gonna
doesn't
need
even
it.
say anything. He just walks right
Yeah.
past her.
And, waiting for his moment to come up and, starts banging on the door. And that's when we get this immediately, like, you can tell, like, there's a passionate, like, this is end of my life
Yeah.
performance right here. I'm going to give it all that I've got.
I
I
think
also didn't think he was gonna do. I mean, yeah, I didn't think he was gonna shoot himself.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he
I
goes
thought
out and he
was
goes,
I thought he was gonna shoot Mike.
Oh.
Yeah, and I
And
found
because he
like-
straight up
I've-
goes, "Bang!"
Yeah, I've seen this movie, and I was getting scared because I was like, dude, you're pointing a real gun at them, and they don't even know.
Yeah, the
thought
audience
like-
doesn't know.
Dude.
Yeah, like he's pointing a real gun at them with real
but
bullets.
I thought about it. My understanding, because I've never seen it, was I thought he was gonna do that to Mike because Mike basically ruined him.
Mm.
Mike got the best of him. Mike ruined his preview. Now, like the critic is gonna give it the worst review, and he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
So I was not expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
It just blew my mind.
Yeah, and I almost imagine like
I also jumped.
I was thinking in this entire scene too, like the play is kind of like a reflection of his mental state too, right? Because the guy, he breaks in and he's playing his character, but the stuff he's saying is like, I don't even exist anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even here.
Everything that I thought I once knew is no longer a thing.
He's like, I don't exist, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's what he's feeling.
Yeah.
It's just not relevant,
Mhm.
right? So it was really, perfect role for him in that moment.
Yeah. And one of the things that blew my mind eventually, because, we know from previous previews of that scene of the play that, he's supposed to shoot himself, but a blood rig is supposed to go off and all this stuff. And, it's supposed to be really impactful and all this stuff. But in this moment, we know he has real bullets. It is a loaded gun, and no one else knows but him.
Mhm.
And, we see him freaking put the gun up to his head and pull the trigger and immediately fall down. And on first watch, you're like, holy crap, he just killed himself in front of like 900 people,
Mhm.
and they don't even know. And one of the things that blew my mind was like the only time that he got the accolades was whenever he died.
Seriously,
Like the only time like anyone ever really cared, like, and even gave him the standing ovation was when he killed himself.
And he's just laying on the
And he's
floor.
just on the floor, just bleeding out, and everyone's all, like just clapping, going in, and being like, "Wow, that was
Yeah.
good saying, wow," And it even gets to the point, like at the end of the film, whenever a paper gets written by that critic, who titles the article "The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance," says that like he's given birth to a whole new genre of theater, like called super realism. Like there was like literal blood, or what did she say? Like metaphorical blood spilled, and also literal blood spilled. Like he actually did shoot himself in the face. Like, and the way that we come to find out that he survived this gunshot wound is because he just shot his nose off.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, which wild, but.
Yeah, I thought it was ironic too. Whenever we get to see his bandage, and it looks
It
like
almost
a
looks like the
Birdman.
Birdman.
It
Yeah.
does. I was like, dude, this guy can't escape it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a play. too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But then we get to this ambiguous ending
Yeah,
at
this
the
is-
end, which, his character gets up out of bed and goes and looks in the mirror. He sees Birdman sitting on the toilet, taking a poop,
Yeah.
and then, kind of takes his bandages off. He looks at his brand new nose and then looks out the window, and, the camera goes outside. We don't know what happens. We don't know if he jumped out. We don't know if he is, if he just left and the camera's not showing us that, or
Yeah.
if he's flying. Like we aren't exactly sure. The only thing that we get to see is Sam come in, and
She's like, "Dad?
she
Dad?"
kind of looks around and stuff, and looks out the window, looks down, doesn't see anything. But
Doesn't
when,
see anything.
But when she looks up, she has this kind of like what the heck is that? What is he doing? And
Doesn't
has
she
this-
start to laugh?
Yeah, she starts to laugh and to smile, and then it cuts to black.
Yeah, and that's it.
And
This is where. So I initially when I watched this, I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. I'm following though. I understand kind of everything that's going on here. And then the end happens, and I was so sure that she was gonna look out that window, look down, and just be horrified. And she looks down, doesn't really see anything, looks up. I was like, what the? Is this?
Yeah.
Is he really flying right now? Like I don't understand, because, it was earlier. It was proven it wasn't real. Like he didn't have all these powers, but he has this power now. Like
He
Yeah.
reached
I'm
his
so-
final stage.
so confused on what the answer is supposed to be here.
Yeah. So there was an analysis that I was watching a little bit that brought up the topic of subjective reality, and it had said that, like, assume that he is actually flying or that he does have powers. Like, it's just in his own reality that he's doing so, or it's in the reality of like, or it's in like Sam's reality. Like she's, because she holds her dad to such a high regard now, and they've come to make ends meet, and they they're good with one another now. Like now she sees her father as like this like hero type figure.
Mm-hmm.
So like he obviously can fly if he's a hero.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if I
So
buy
then how
into
would
it.
how would you
Like I was.
explain his dressing room / house
What do you
when
mean?
he's like
When he's floating?
No, when he like
That's the only other
destroys
scene.
Well,
crap out of it.
and that's the thing. Like we get to have something else like
And
disprove
somebody walks
it
in.
when someone walks
And
in
he's-
and you see
he's
him like he's like
physically doing
physically
it.
tearing it up
Yeah.
and throwing stuff.
So you're
It's
like,
not
oh, okay. So the whole time he was truly doing it, but what he kind of was imagining
visualized
was
it as was like his superpowers.
doing telekinesis.
Yeah.
And that's why it kind of confused me, because the only other scene that is not disproven is when he's floating there.
Is in the beginning and in the end.
At the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of sitting here questioning what it means and what's
Yeah.
the truth and
Exactly.
if he's real.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so divisive. People, have their set theories and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. All right, we got any more favorite scenes here?
That's it for me.
That's it.
All right, perfect. Let's move on to best quote then.
All right.
I've only got one. I feel like this movie isn't terribly quotable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
You
not
guys
too
think-
much.
You guys think that about the same?
Yeah, I
roughly?
don't have any.
Okay.
So it's
All right. Well, this will be a short category then.
Yeah.
Well,
My only one is from Mike Shiner, and he says, "A man becomes a critic when he cannot be an artist, the same way that a man becomes an informer when he cannot be a soldier."
yeah. This, funny enough, this reminds me of School of Rock.
Yeah.
When he's sitting in and he goes, those who cannot do, teach, and those who cannot teach PE.
Yeah.
It's that same idea, though, of like, if you can't be an artist, the next thing down is a critic, and it's kind of like a jab at critics, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quote from Reagan, and it's funny, but it's when he's kind of like going into his whole breakdown, falling into obscurity, all that kind of stuff, and he goes, to me it's funny because every time I go to Goodwill, I see Trivial Pursuit, like 7 or 8 of them. They're always there, every
Yeah.
single one I go to. So when he goes, "I'm the answer to an effing Trivial Pursuit question," I was like, that's gotta suck, because those
That's
are
gotta hurt.
old and nobody wants them.
Yeah.
So I can like, just from that quote, I understand exactly how he's feeling.
Exactly. All right. If we're done with the best quotes, what are some bruh moments in this film that we haven't talked about?
Dude, so the one that I want to talk about is, because I think, yes. So it's literally right after the light fall, right in the beginning. They're in the dressing room, and he's doing an interview, I think, with all these reporters.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, these reporters switch up everything.
Yeah.
She's
They're
like,
all,
"Oh,
you put pig semen on your face to
And-
get all the wrinkles off." He's all, "No, I don't. Where did you
Where'd
hear
you hear
that?"
that? And she
She's
goes,
all, "Oh, you just don't want to admit it."
yeah." And she
She's
goes,
all-
"Oh, I'll just say that you were denying it."
Yeah, and he's all, "There's no denying it. That doesn't happen."
Yeah, I was like,
and then the other reporter writes something based off of what she's saying, and then it just
yeah, and he's
and
all,
then-
"Birdman 4.
But dude-
You're doing Birdman 4, dude."
it's horrible. It's a
they
very
wanna
true.
twist everything.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a very real, like, look at how journalism
It made me
works.
think of Nightcrawler.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah, exactly.
how fake it all is.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely.
That was a big bro moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. A huge one for me was when that girl randomly comes up to him and says, "I missed my last 2 periods."
Dude,
I
mine
was
too.
all,
What?
"Oh shoot!"
I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be
he's
a
about
dad."
to be a dad.
Yeah.
and he's 60. Like,
And then she goes up and says, "I'm not pregnant."
yeah. Out of nowhere, she's
I
like,
was
"Oh
like-
yeah, my body just doesn't agree with me, I guess."
And it was out like she had not been introduced at all. A random
No.
character walks up and says, "Yeah, I'm pregnant."
Yeah.
I think she was like, "I got some news for you."
And immediately
Yeah.
we're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this dude's got a lot of stuff going on."
Yeah. Seriously.
One of my bro moments is Mike getting completely naked to change.
Bruh.
Yeah. And he's like, "Why aren't you wearing underpants?"
And he's like, "I left him under my bed," or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that was
funny.
that was wild.
Another
funny.
one is at the bar when they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go get a coffee." That couple comes up and she goes, right after Mike goes to Rig and says, "You're not relevant."
Yeah.
And the couple
She's
goes
all,
and goes,
I love
"You're
you.
Birdman."
I loved you in Birdman.
And
Taking a
he's,
photo.
and she doesn't even know who he is because he's supposed to be all famous, and asks him to take the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
The next one I had is when I hated this scene. It was a big bro moment too, but when Mike, like they were supposed to be doing it in the band,
Oh
yeah.
my god!
and he's really like he's like, hey, let's really do it, and it's just a horrible scene.
We also
because-
find out that they're exes.
Yes.
Yeah, they've had a previous relationship, and she's like, no, and it
Yeah.
sucks. And then him getting up and like being,
yeah.
make it real.
Yeah, and him being, whenever he gets
oh,
up,
dude,
being,
it's so cringeworthy.
Not
yeah, not flaccid.
Not flaccid. Dude. It's so, and all the crowd is like, oh.
Yeah, immediately.
Immediately, I was like, oh, bro, no.
That's even a point of contention in their fight too, where he's like, he says like, my hard on got 1,500 views on Twitter within 45 minutes or something like that.
Doesn't care about anyone else other
Yeah.
than himself, man.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's a big bro moment.
Yeah. Any other ones for y'all?
The last one I have is seeing Spider-Man dancing at the end.
Oh, yeah. I had seen in that same video that like that was like the lines between fantasy and reality blurring, and that's when we come to the objection that, you know, it's a subjective reality.
Yeah. Well, it's Spider-Man, and then we get to see
We see Bumblebee
and Iron Man fighting each other.
Yeah.
And it was
very New York.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like you'd see that stuff in Times Square immediately, like people trying to get you to take pictures with them and then being like, "Oh, tip
Yeah.
for a photo," you
Yeah.
know?
It's one of the things that I
I
thought.
won't lie, I've done that before.
Bro, you got scammed.
I got scammed at Hollywood, dude.
You
Dang.
played yourself.
I remember I went to Hollywood the first time and like I didn't know that they did it for tips. And so whenever I remember a guy came up to me and he was all, "Oh, yeah, let's take a picture." And I was like, "Oh, okay." We took a picture and he's all, "All right, you give me a tip." And I was all, "What do you mean?" And I said, "You asked me for a picture." And he was all, "Yeah, but you're supposed to give me a tip afterwards." I said, "I didn't ask you for a picture. I'm not going to give you no tip, dude."
Yeah.
And he was all, "Oh, you're a piece of trash," blah, and all this stuff and everything. And I was all, "You came up to me for a picture. I'm not giving you anything, bro."
I didn't even want it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, mine's even more embarrassing because mine was like last year.
Oh.
That's funny. I think the guy did sort of the same thing when I was in Hollywood too. He went up to me and said, he was like, "Yo, I'm handing out copies of my mixtape."
Bro, dude,
That
I
happened
almost
stuff.
took one because I wanted to
And
listen to
that
it.
happened
No,
to
so
me too.
he gave it to me and then it was all, "Yeah, I'll be $5." and I was all, "I don't want it then, bro. I'm not gonna pay for this, bro." And he was all, "All right, man, I see how it is."
Yeah.
And took it and went away. And I was all, are you gonna hand it to me and be like, "Yeah, check me out, bro. Hey, $5." Like, I'm not gonna do that. It's not.
Next time we go to Hollywood, I'll buy somebody's mixtape just to listen to it.
You're about to hear that beat.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other bromance for you guys?
No, that's it for me.
'Cause
Okay.
the biggest one for me was him with the real gun, like pulling out the real gun.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. If there's no other bromance, let's get into the facts.
Yeah. So I'll hit you with the budget real quick. The budget to make this movie was $18 million. Opening
Wow.
weekend it made $424,000. Gross in U.S. and Canada made $42.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
And gross worldwide made $103.2 million.
Yeah. I expected
Wow.
big numbers for this one.
Yeah.
Which actually I found myself because so this is where it might get a little bit controversial. I don't think this movie deserved Best Picture.
Yeah. So that's
okay.
probably one of your facts, right? Is that
Yeah,
it?
this
Yeah.
movie won 4 Oscars. It
Yeah.
won the Oscar for Best Picture. It won the Oscar for Best Directing. It won the Oscar for Best Cinematography, and I believe it also won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
So it
man.
swept.
So
It
yeah,
did. It
did
swept.
it did amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I think Whiplash did way
Yeah,
better in my
2014.
opinion. And so I found myself. I was like, wait, did Whiplash make more?
No.
it did not.
No.
And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just blew my mind.
To put my stake in the ground, I will admit I did like Whiplash. I think a little bit more.
Yeah. I like
Dude,
Whiplash
is a 10.
infinitely more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whiplash is
I
Whiplash has proven to be one of those movies I can put it on any time
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh man, I love that, dude. I love this movie."
Did. Yeah.
I don't know if I could say that about this one. So.
Not so much either.
Yeah. But I'll get into another one of my facts here in regards to the actual process of this film and how it was made.
Yeah.
So because this movie, when you go into a one take film,
Mhm.
everything has to be meticulously recorded and rehearsed, especially. And so this movie was, like I said, carefully rehearsed and shot in sequence.
Mm.
Oh,
So
wow.
so there's
In
you know,
order, dude?
it's shot in order the way we see it in the film. Editing only took 2 weeks
Oh,
on
wow.
this, so it only spent 2 weeks on the cutting room floor to actually cut this film together and get the final product out. Whereas, usually when a film wraps, it takes about like 3 to 4 months
So yeah,
of editing to
Wow.
get a final
months.
product that people are happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd read too that it was a total of 16 cuts.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's only like 16 visible cuts.
Yeah.
And they're hardly
And the-
visible
The
too.
hard, yeah. I don't think I ever saw a cut.
Yeah. Which is insane. This is a 2-hour film.
It's
Yeah.
very
And there's
long.
only 16.
Yeah.
Like, that is
Commendable.
unfathomably long.
I feel like
scenes.
when they're working on this, so say like they end it for the day, they watch the film from yesterday, where they left off, and then
Just continue it.
Just continue it the next day, and they're
Mhm.
like, okay, this is where you got to be at. This was the last line you said, and this is the amount of energy you had. Go.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
I feel like
would
that's the only way I can think of they
Yeah.
did it.
Mm.
I would like to see the behind the scenes of that
It's
kind
pretty
of
cool.
filmmaking.
Yeah, would be very interesting.
I have a fact here I thought was interesting. Just because I really liked Zach Galifianakis' character. I think his name is Jake.
Yeah, he killed it.
He did.
I wish there
always,
was more of him.
You always see him as this really funny kind of weird character.
Yeah,
He did a really great job.
yeah,
But given the unusual style of filming long takes, Edward Norton and Michael Keaton kept a running tally of flubs made by the actors and actresses. Emma Stone made the most, and Zach Galifianakis made the fewest. He actually did mess up a few lines during filming, but played his mistakes off so well that they included the shots
Oh,
in
nice.
the movie. So I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah,
Dang.
shows how great of an actor he could be.
Mhm.
Dang. So for the award, so this was actually the first Academy Award winner to be entirely shot digitally. Prior to winning this, every film that's won has either been entirely on film or partially on film. So this is the only first movie to be only digital.
Yeah, I had heard. I don't remember exactly where I read it, but I think it was an interview with the director of him saying like, with the technology we have is what made it possible to actually film a movie like this. Otherwise, it would have been way too difficult with
Yeah.
Is
film and all that stuff.
1917 on film as well?
I don't know.
No, there's some CGI editing.
Yeah,
Whenever he
When he
jumps,
jumps,
off the
dude.
bridge.
Oh man,
That's the one scene that sticks
I remember,
out.
yeah, that sticks out in my mind like a sore thumb.
And it's
dude.
weird too because the first time I watched it, didn't think anything of it.
Yeah,
Second time I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what did I?
I was all.
I've never seen it.
It's
Yeah.
real, I own it. I'll let you borrow it. It still holds up. All the
Yeah.
other stuff.
Well, I'm sure we might do it eventually. So
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe.
All right, so my next one here, director Alejandro Iñárritu.
Mhm.
He had said of the scene where Regan and Mike are rehearsing the script for the first time that Edward Norton was looking over the script and commenting about it beforehand. Alejandro then reminded him that he was doing the exact same thing his character is doing in the film in that scene, and this is where I'd gotten that sort of
Meta.
inkling that that meta sort
Mhm.
of layer there, that Norton's character is actually like a satire-based version of this actor's behaviors on set, style in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah. I have a funny one too. So the scene where Reagan was running through Times Square with his underwear, it was filmed after midnight so that the amount of real bystanders caught on camera in the shot would be limited. And the majority of the people were the crew, were crew and
dang,
extras.
I feel like it'd
Okay.
be so much better if it was real people.
Oh, that would be weird.
It would be pretty hard.
It would
too.
be hard because you'd get some you would get it. You have to
Well,
have
and to think about one take too, you have to be able to control.
yeah. You need control.
Oh, yeah, that's
Exactly.
true.
If
Do
you
you
get
think they
randoms,
closed that road for that time being?
Well, it was after midnight. It
Probably.
probably would have been easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be able to exercise control of the crowd,
Yeah.
and if you get random people just not knowing what's going on, you're
Anything
gonna have
could
no
happen.
idea what
That's
can
so cool.
happen.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So the last one that I have, I thought was pretty interesting, is so the carpet visible within several backstage corridor scenes is the same iconic hexagonal carpet used in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Interesting.
I know a lot of people bring that in as like a little Easter egg,
Yeah.
but I didn't notice it.
I didn't
I didn't
notice it
notice it.
until I read it. I went back and just looked at some stills, and I was like, oh, yeah, it is.
Nice.
Interesting. Any other facts?
That's it for me.
All right, same here.
All right.
All right, what didn't work in this movie for you guys?
All right. Almost 10 minutes in, dude, I felt like I was watching like 20 shows at a time. I was lost.
What do you mean 20 shows at a time?
Where since it was one take,
Mm-hmm.
I never you obviously it's constantly moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like since it was moving so much, I never had a place to focus on. Like it never went back to the same scene as I should say, or the same like decor.
Okay.
I don't know how to say it. Like same setup. I don't know. And I found myself like lost. I was like, oh, weren't they just there? Like, or like, where the heck are they now? Like, I don't know. I found myself very lost.
It was kind of difficult to follow along, but I didn't have that issue, so I'm not sure. There was a lot going on, and the pacing was again very fast, and they didn't really show you a lot of what was happening. But so I kind of get where you're coming from.
I don't know. I just felt like I was watching so many things at once, and because it was moving, I feel like I had to change not change my mentality, but like, change the way I'm watching this movie and always think it's gonna move and it's not gonna be the same thing.
So one thing that didn't work for me, and I text this to you guys in the group chat beforehand, but I don't know. I remember liking this movie a lot when I first watched it, and I think it kind of lost a little bit of its luster for me on a rewatch. And I think that may partly be due to the one take. I don't know if that's just something that like doesn't work for me in general, like one take films.
Yeah.
Because it's more just about the spectacle of the thing and it being an experience, right? And I don't know, the one take. While it is cool and it's a phenomenal feat of filmmaking in order to try to do that, I respect and applaud their ability to do so. I don't know, it on a rewatch it kind of lost its luster to me, and at the end of the film I was just kind of like, okay, this movie is like known for being like, oh dude, it's all shot in one take, you know, and at the end of it I'm kind of like, but what else is there?
Yeah,
you know, like what else is there to define this movie other than just being like, oh, it's all shot in one take? Yeah,
that kind of sucks too, because it reminds me of like the hyper realistic animation too, where it's like it's not really it's for the spectacle, and that's literally it. And I don't think that this movie in particular has that issue, but there is something about the one take thing where on the second time you watch it is less impressive.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like,
it felt like it kind of cheapened it a little bit.
I don't know why it's like that though, because it's still just as impressive as the first time.
Yeah.
But watching it again, you're just like, yeah, I've been here. You know?
I don't know.
It's the same thing that happened with 1917 to me.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it in theater, I was like, dude, that was insane.
Yeah.
I was like captivated the entire time, and then when I watched it at home, I was like, yeah, it was still good, but it missed that something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I could see this movie kind of struggling with that same thing.
Yeah. I'll also say this is the only other thing that didn't work for me. There was some CGI that was not good in my opinion. Like I think immediately of whenever he's like flying around and then when he lands back on the roof. Like when he's real like tiny,
blurry.
When he's real tiny, he's like almost like it looks like a car. Like it's like flying around, and it's not like blurred to where you can tell like, oh, that's him moving around. Like it's like almost too defined. Like and it looks like robotic almost. And like there are even some certain scenes where like he's like flying and the camera moves and it does this like weird like motion blur of the character, and it just when I'd watch those scenes I was kind of like, oh, it doesn't look good. And it was crazy because they had this freaking mechanical bird that looked insanely real. It
did look cool, huh?
Yeah, it looked sick, and like they had all these characters come out, explosions and all this stuff and everything. I was like, this looks insane, but it didn't work for that, which I don't know. To me, it didn't. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this film kind of is dated. Only because you see some of that bad CGI, and then you see like her holding up her phone, and it's an old iPhone 4.
Yeah.
The YouTube app looks all, and immediately I'm like, oh, this is old.
This is
pretty freaking old.
Yeah.
So to me, it will definitely not withstand the test of time. Later on.
Yeah. Which is unfortunately.
The ideas for sure will. I don't think they'll go away anytime soon.
Yeah, but
like
10 years, 20 years from now, people are going to be like,
bro,
what is that?
Yeah, look at that.
It's a brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for real.
Go ahead.
Something else that didn't work for me was Birdman. The voice. I just wasn't a fan of it.
Okay.
It's like a Batman-esque.
Yeah, I had heard that it was based off of Christian Bale's The Dark Knight
Was it
performance.
really?
I can tell.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I found myself finding it annoying, and I just wanted it to shut up when it would come up.
Okay.
And I found myself just trying to distract myself, not even to pay attention to when he's talking. And I can't like really pinpoint why. I just didn't like it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I won't hold you against you.
Yeah. You got anything else that didn't work for you?
I brought it up a little earlier to you guys, but the film makes a big point to show Mike Shiner's character. He's huge the first half of the movie. He gets with the daughter. At first he's telling the daughter like, "Hey, I'm not gonna be with you," all that stuff. Making up excuses, and then they end up getting together. Whatever they do, fooling around, whatever they do, doesn't show us. And then he kind of just takes a back seat for the rest of the movie. Like, I get that it's not really about him, but why heavily focus on him in the beginning, only to not
have
utilize
it taper
him?
off.
Yeah, he was literally nothing at the end.
Yeah.
Was he even in the play, or did he take him out? I don't. It's not really.
No, he was at the end, but yeah, it was at the end of towards that second half of the movie. The sole focus is on Riggin.
Riggin, yeah. And I was curious because they really kind of build up Mike to be this extremely flawed character and has like a lot of stuff that he's dealing with outside of the acting world, And they highlighted it throughout the whole first half.
Yeah.
He explains his whole false persona of truth and all that stuff. And, when they're playing Truth or Dare, he always chooses truth.
Yeah.
And it's like a a very heavy, strong character. And he just kind of takes a back seat halfway through. I was like, I kind of miss that character. What are they doing with him? Why did they build him up?
I wish there was I wish it was wrapped up better.
I think so too. Yeah. Just because I was left questioning, like, I wonder why bring him up if he's not even gonna make it to the end.
Not do that much.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. All right. Anything else?
I hated the flying scene. I think him just flying and floating, like, to me, it just, I thought they probably used a green screen the whole time. Do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
they had
it's
to,
CGI,
something
for
like
sure.
that. And I was just like, what is this for? Like, what are they doing? What is this supposed to mean?
It's a little goofy.
Yeah, it's also signifying like that. I mean, that whole sequence beforehand, he was, I'm Birdman. I've done all this stuff before. I am an insane actor. People look up to me. They forget about their lives when they see me and all this stuff. And I think it was kind of like almost him being like finding like that newfound glory and being like, this is who I am and I can be free in this and all this stuff. Maybe. But I mean, we also find out that that's like not reliable because we get it disproven by the cab driver. So,
yeah. I also just think this movie is not rewatchable at all. I think it's a one and done.
Okay. I think I could sort of agree. I don't know. There's nothing really here that calls for a rewatch
exactly
for me. And I think I could back that up to a certain extent. I mean, maybe like in the sometime in the foreseeable future I could be like, oh man, yeah, I'll rewatch that again. Like I remember having a good time with that, and maybe possibly show a person the movie for the first time, like, and me being able to be there and watch it with them again. I'd be down for that. But
yeah, and the reason why I say that is because I just think if like someone were to be talking about that movie, I wouldn't be so excited to talk about it. Just because I don't think it holds as much pleasure for a movie.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm trying. I'm not, and I hate that I'm knocking it on it for you because I know you chose this movie.
No, that's fine. I was just
at the
curious.
end of the day, your opinion's your opinion.
Yeah, I was curious just to check it out.
Well, if we're done dragging the film through the mud, let's clean it off a little bit with what did work.
Build it back up. So immediately, do you want to
No,
go?
go ahead. I was just gonna say, dude, I love the score.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do too.
The jazzy,
Yeah.
the drums.
It's percussive.
yeah.
I
It's
loved it.
like drums only almost.
It is. It really is. And you get to see him. He's in the. He's walking down the street and you see him.
Yeah.
They always intentionally bring it in universe
Yeah,
of why the music's going on.
I found myself just like I was watching it on my PC and I was just tapping every time it came on.
I really enjoyed the free jazz feel and like how chaotic it would get.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like when stuff starts getting crazy, like the drums are going like just they're bouncing off the walls, going crazy, and like all this stuff is going on at the same time, and that music is just making you be like,
Yeah.
like just wanting to be like, oh, let me breathe for a second, dude. Like, it's-
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wholeheartedly agree.
I agree with you.
I really loved the jazz in it.
Yeah.
It was great.
The one other thing that had me kind of holding my breath the entire time was, I think, the camera and how alive it all felt.
Yes, and I want to highlight how claustrophobic some of those shots get, man.
Dude, they're
I
close.
feel like
in the
I feel like I'm
hallways.
sniffing Michael Keaton's neck in some
Seriously.
of these shots, man, because the camera's like all in his face, man, and the whole time you're just kind of like, man, I'm close
Yeah.
to these people
Yeah.
right now.
No.
Like I need some distance, man. Like let me back up a little bit.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, because you see everything breaking down and you're just like, oh, and you hear this percussive music going on and
Yeah.
everything is just kind of going against your calmness.
Yeah.
But one thing that I wanted to bring up that I loved was I called it frenetic pacing, but it really felt alive to me. Whether that be the one take thing, I think it worked and it found its place here in this movie.
Yeah.
But one of the scenes in particular is when he's walking through New York, and you hear the streets are freaking completely full of people walking around. You hear side conversations going on, like you hear the bustling of the cars go by. It just felt very lived in and
Yeah.
real and authentic, which I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah. I think of a film like that does that really beautifully is Marriage Story. Like in the scenes whenever they're in New York and all that stuff, and like there's just like the hustle and bustle of New York City, and everyone's walking, everyone's on their phone, there's cars beeping, traffic, all this stuff, and it's it really immerses you into this chaotic, not only chaotic setting, but also chaotic moments in the film that are accompanied with that music and that camera work and crazy acting and all that stuff. It feels like the whole time you are just on this roller coaster.
For sure.
Yeah. One of the things that I really did like, Abraham, that I will disagree with you a little bit on is I really did enjoy the inner monologue, because I enjoyed how Riggin has this like built up image of himself that only he can talk to. And this image is kind of like that little like devil on his shoulder type character, like where it'll be like, oh man, you're not worth anything. Only anyone who's anyone only knows you as Birdman and all this stuff. But when he gives into him a little bit, he's like, man, you're the best. And like all this stuff, like, I don't know. I really enjoyed that inner monologue and being able to like, it also like it, I enjoyed it providing comedic relief in some aspects. Like, first couple of words we hear in the film is, I hate this room. It smells like balls.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, what?
It's very
like,
crass. Yeah, crass. It's
like, he's got no filter.
None.
Like, it just is, saying whatever comes to his mind, and it provides comedic relief. But I don't know. I really enjoyed how they decided to show like how this guy processes things and how he, how exactly what I just said, how he processes things, and I thought it worked. In this movie, so
I really like the scene too where Birdman is just heavily going at him, and you see him kind of not like ignoring him and trying out these. It's almost like he's been to therapy, and the therapist is like, "Hey, when this voice comes, these are the things you should say to calm yourself down, to kind of drown that voice out."
Yeah.
To me, it was a very unique way to show kind of this alter ego-ish type thing where it's him, but not him. It's the him he's trying to bury, and it's hard to bury. You know,
Yeah.
it's really truly eating him from the inside out.
Yeah.
And to see it kind of, you know, his inside, his inner thoughts kind of spew out in very different ways, whether it be telekinesis or him flying or literally seeing Birdman floating there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was really unique.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but I enjoyed it, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And, you know, touching on that, I really enjoyed the acting.
Yeah.
I thought Michael Keaton did a fantastic job.
Yeah. I think this is one of his best performances that he's given in years.
Agree.
I really loved Emma Stone's performance.
I
in
know.
this.
Zach Galifianakis did great.
Yeah,
I think
Ed Norton.
yeah.
it's a loaded.
Naomi Watts too.
She did great.
I loved her in this.
Yes.
Like everyone in this movie kills their roles.
Because we were talking about it when we last recorded, or after we recorded. I looked at the cast and I was like, dude, this is like a this has some heat.
They're
of people.
stacked.
Yeah.
Stacked
And
for sure.
so that, I mean, I will agree with that. This is a stacked crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, my last one is I really enjoyed how surreal things got in the film and how meta some of the you know the topics that are brought up and everything sort of got as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd said, with those you know little layers of you know meta storytelling with like you know pre-show rituals with certain actors who are portraying different actors, but they're sort of playing caricatures of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I also really enjoyed like the aspects of the film that like are self-aware, and like you know like I had Regan Thompson watching Robert Downey Jr. on TV and being like, man, I don't understand how that guy does it, you know, and like
It
you
caught
know,
me off guard heavily.
yeah, and like you know,
They're talking about our world.
yeah, they're talking
Yeah.
about like real life things that are happening.
Yeah, they talk about Martin Scorsese being in the
yeah,
audience.
yeah, exactly. Like they reference a lot of things that happen in real life in real time, and you know it throws you off because you're kind of like,
You're not used to
oh
it.
man, I'm not used to. I'm used to being brought into like an entirely different world, but it's just these like couple of characters that are fake, and they're in our world,
Yeah.
you know, and it's almost like uncanny in
It
some
is.
senses.
It was weird.
It's weird, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed how they walked that line.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I have to 100% agree with you on that.
Okay.
One of my bro moments is when they start talking about Jeremy Renner and all the people, and then there's even one too where he's like, "Oh, what are you gonna replace me with?" I forget who he says, but it's another actor. It's a well-known actor, and I'm like, this is a weird universe. It's
Yeah.
like, it's literally we're just watching. It's like it's not a different thing. You know what I mean? It's weird,
yeah,
but I enjoyed it. So.
yeah, most definitely. Anything else for what did work for you guys?
No, other than I wanted to talk about just the passing of time. I know we brought it up earlier.
Yeah.
But I did think it was unique.
Yeah,
and
I love like
very
the time
interesting.
lapses of like it being dark outside and then all of a sudden it like going to sunrise and
Yeah.
lights turning off, and it's beautiful.
I did like the passing of time.
Yeah. All right. Who wins this movie for y'all?
For me, it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, agree 100%. Michael Keaton.
All right. What are some themes? I've got two here. I'll give you my first one. And this is kind of, you know, surface level, I think, but I'd written down popular work and great work are two entirely different things.
That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that.
And then my second one is breaking your mold can prove difficult but satisfying in the end.
I agree. There's one thing too. I'm gonna just think it out loud because there's something that I got, because a lot of the times when Birdman is talking, he describes them being successful,
Yeah.
and yet he still looks down on
He's
this.
like, we can make $1 billion.
Yeah,
But
and yet he still looks down on this role, and it's not bringing him any joy.
yeah.
But I almost want to say like happiness is like, or what you define success literally is just your perception of it.
Yeah.
Because if Birdman, it seems to me it was a success, but he wasn't happy with it. Therefore, it's not a success.
That sort of hits on the same thing I was saying, I think last episode, where like, to me, something that is like successful in the box office doesn't necessarily mean that it was successful in the sense of like, cultural impact or, impact on an artist or on a person, right? Is that kind of what you're hitting at a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think just your perspective on what you find successful will bring you happiness.
Exactly. I agree.
So I think that was a thing that they were trying to touch on there.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think he even addresses it. He was like, no, I was miserable making those films, and now I've got something that I really want to do, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Abe?
I don't know. I don't have a thing. I think what can I take from this movie is what I'm trying to think of. I guess just
even like, well, think about it like this: like, you think you got the crappiest life ever, like Birdman.
people have it worse.
No, well, not even that, but like people, like he thinks his life sucks, and people are still coming up to him and being like, "Yo,
Dude, you're
let me get a
Birdman.
picture. Let me get an autograph."
You're Birdman.
So there's always there's always
a
worse.
brighter side of things.
Yeah, there's always brighter side.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that. There's always a brighter side of things that you. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. What are we rating this?
I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna be a little harsh on it. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
That's for me.
Think.
A 4.
4. Ooh. Okay. I enjoyed it, so I'll also give it a 7.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty solid score. Yeah, I'll also double down. I'll say that's a 7 as well.
All right.
All right. So that's it for the episode, you guys. If you guys did enjoy that one, make sure you leave us a like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, download the podcast, subscribe to, the podcasts on Apple, follow us on Spotify, all that good stuff. It really does help out whenever you guys are interacting with that content and letting us know exactly what you like or don't like about the episodes. That way we can, try to change stuff up and make this thing the best that it can possibly be. So let us know either through a rate and review on Apple Podcasts or on a couple of YouTube comments. And it does help out. If you guys ever want to contact us or get in contact with anybody else here on the podcast or with the little community that we've built up, we have all of our methods of contact in every episode description. So you can click on our Letterboxd accounts, our Instagrams, our YouTube channel, all that stuff. It's all there for you guys in every episode description.
Yep.
So I believe next pick is Abe's. And we've been we've been deferring from the schedule that we've created.
Yeah.
So
this is like
It's gonna be news to me.
Yeah, me too.
Honestly, I'm stuck between 2 movies.
You
So I
better
wanna
choose
pick-
now,
pick-
man.
Pick a number between 1 and 2.
I'm gonna choose 1.
I'm gonna choose 2.
Bruh.
I'll pick 1.
Okay. Don't. I am choosing The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
What?
Okay, hold on.
Where can we even watch that?
It is
bro?
on HBO Max.
Oh my
Adventures
God.
of.
That's about to unlock some memories for me, bro. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid.
Oh my gosh, they're
What? As in the measure of electrical frequency?
just George Lopez.
Yes,
dude.
bro.
Taylor Lautner.
I swear to you, the hardest I've ever laughed at a meme is when there's this cut of I forget the characters' names, but he goes, "He stole my dream journal," and I swear to you, I cried whenever I saw. I have to find it again because it killed me.
Do you want to know what my other option was?
Yeah.
Shrek 2.
Shrek 2.
Shrek 2 would have been great.
Shrek 2.
But no, we're doing Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl now.
Dream.
Dude.
Close
I
your
also
eyes,
think-
shut your mouth, dream a dream and get us out.
I also just wanted to choose like a not so good movie, just because April
yeah.
Fool's is coming up.
Okay.
Have a little fun.
All
It
right.
will be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. That'll be funny, man.
dude.
We'll
Man, I
watch
haven't
it.
watched this movie since I was a kid.
Me either.
Now I gotta decide how
Bro, I had such a crush on Lava Girl.
No.
Okay, hold on. You know what we should do for this? We should do an episode on Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but they made another one, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
They did. I swear to you.
I'm just gonna look up Shark Boy and Lava Girl 2.
I swear to you. No, I don't think Taylor Lautner's in this one. But I think it's the same girl, and she's older, and I think that she has like kids or something. I swear to you.
It's probably awful.
It's probably. I think it's either a movie or a TV show. I swear to you, I think it's real.
All right.
And if it is,
I think
I'll
it's
watch
called,
it.
I think it's called We Can Be Heroes. I think I found it.
Is it a show?
No. Is it?
I don't know. I remember hearing something about it.
So it's on HBO Max?
No, it is this. It is this. It is on
it a
HBO
TV
Max.
show?
It's a TV show. It's on HBO Max though, and Hulu Premium subscription.
All right.
So that is the movie.
That's the movie for next week.
Okay. How do we approach this? I'm gonna approach this completely
Objective.
completely open,
Completely open. Ready to critique the adventures of Shark Boy.
I'm gonna
and
try to
Lava
have
Girl.
some fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun too. We'll have some fun.
I will try to find that meme I was died by. So
All right.
All
Well,
right.
tune in next week with us and find out what our thoughts on the adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
good night.